Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a quick drive in the new Lexus LX 600. This is the Ultra Luxury, which means starting price on this is around $126,000. As tested, we're at 128 grand, so it's not cheap. We have a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 that makes 409 horsepower, and that's mated to a 10-speed automatic. Toyota no longer sells the Land Cruiser in the United States, so this is kind of our only option for a body-on-frame, ultra-capable, off-road oriented luxury SUV. We have multi-terrain select, a number of different drive modes, the hydraulically actuated suspension that can control our height. We have a locking center differential, crawl control, nothing that we haven't really seen before with this LX, but just updated and made a little bit more modern while still retaining a lot of physical controls and buttons. I appreciate that Lexus didn't go full touchscreen and full haptic buttons in this new LX. We still have a lot of familiar looking switchgear that we've seen in the rest of the Lexus lineup. Let's walk you around this LX 600 today. We'll give you guys some first impressions on what it's like to drive. I'm excited to see what this is like in the back seat because it seems like in this ultra luxury package, that's where all the action is. This LX 600 is painted in Nori Green Pearl, which, ooh, it's a gorgeous color, especially in this dark, cloudy, and very rainy day that we're experiencing today, contrasting with these silver alloy wheels. Looks really sharp. I think the proportions of this new LX are a little bit more cohesive compared to the last generation. The front grille is a little bit crazy and overboard, but you know, that's kind of the direction that Lexus has been going the last decade anyway. Personally, I quite like it. I think it looks pretty good. This is a very bulbous and bulgy body on frame SUV. Look at this. Just look at these hood lines. This is insane. This is really something to me. Wow. Definitely makes a statement. It looks like a $100,000 vehicle. Let's see what the back seat looks like here. So we only get 2 seats in this ultra luxury package. Rear window shades, Mark Levinson reference audio system. Of course, we get rear seat entertainment, rear climate controls. A lot of this stuff is just taken out of the Lexus LS too. Headphones back there, a little bit of storage, some more storage space down here too. A couple USB ports, a HDMI port. It's a little bit tight and cramped, and here the packaging in this new LX, for how big of an SUV it is on the outside, it feels a little bit tighter on the inside than I was expecting. You still get a decent amount of legroom and seat room. Let's take a look in the back. No more split tailgate for the LX. Pretty straightforward back here too. Again, we've got a little bit less cargo space just due to the nature of this package, in that we want the most luxurious second row seating option as possible. We'll close that tailgate. This also has a tow package. It's rated to tow up to 8,000 pounds. Let's take a look under the hood here. Much better fuel economy in this new LX 600 due to that twin turbo 3.5 liter V6. It'll get about 4 mpg better than the previous generation with the V8. I will miss the V8, but I am excited to see how this powertrain feels with this new LX 600. We spent some time in the new Tundras, and I'm pretty impressed with the torque, the power, and the efficiency of those engines. Let's see how this does on the road. So we have a fully digital center gauge cluster here with a few different menus that we can see. We can see our fuel economy, which I wouldn't recommend looking at too often, an eco indicator, tire pressures, which even show the spare tire, which is pretty cool, and then just a bunch of other menus, pretty similar to what we've seen in Lexus's and Toyotas. Driving assistance, your music, all sorts of other stuff. We'll just kind of leave it on this calm screen here. We have a lot of physical controls and buttons for our cruise control operation, our lane keeping assist, our following distance, which I appreciate. Lexus hasn't moved to the new unlabeled controls that correspond with a head-up display like we've seen in the new Lexus NX, which I appreciate. Lots of physical buttons throughout this LX600, and there are some buttons down here for height control, which I think is one of the best features of this. We have a access height, and you can see it pretty much just slams down immediately, and high 1 and high 2 settings for off-road driving. And you can see at the highest setting, this has a ton of ground clearance. It's actually pretty impressive. We'll hop out and show you guys what that looks like here in a second. Dimensionally, this has the same approach, departure, breakover angles as the previous LX 570. You can see just how much versatility you get with this. At its highest setting, tons of ground clearance, just about all that you would need. And because this is a hydraulically actuated suspension system, it raises very quickly because the tank is always pressurized. These height settings correspond with off-road modes. You also have a low range to the gearbox. Heated and cooled seat controls are down here too. Everything seems to be pretty well organized. We have our drive mode selector here. A bunch of different options between Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, Sport Plus, and Custom. We'll probably just leave it in Normal today. Let's lower the suspension down to normal height. You can see how quickly it slams down there. Pretty nice looking reverse and 360 cameras. This dual screen setup is interesting here too. I like that there is a little bit of redundancy here between our climate controls on the screen. It seems like a little bit of a waste of space and not the best organization of everything, but I'm just glad that Lexus has gotten rid of the touchpad interface in their newer products, and they've just gone to a more simplified infotainment here. All right, let's set off and see what this is like on the road. Pretty smooth initially. Steering is nice and light. Rain's really coming down today. We're here out at the Midwest Automotive Media Association Spring Rally. I've been coming to these events for years, and we're at Road America today, just driving a bunch of cars back to back. It's a great opportunity for me to share vehicles with you guys that I haven't been able to get a hold of yet in the press fleets, but hopefully we'll spend some more time with one of these LX600s and give you guys some more in-depth impressions, what it's like to live with over a longer period of time, etc., etc. This has a very solid feel behind the wheel. Feels a little bit lighter and more willing to accelerate with this new powertrain. Not as heavy and cumbersome. I will say Lexus has done a great job refining the driving experience with this new LX600. As far as body on frame vehicles go, this is about as refined as it gets, I think, in my opinion. You factor in the off-road capability of this LX, and it makes for a pretty compelling package. Time will tell for how reliable this new powertrain is. All right, we'll just start off here in normal mode. Quite a bit quicker than the old LX 570 off the line. Ride quality is excellent. These Land Cruisers, these LXs, have a way of just steamrolling over every bump and imperfection in the pavement. It is a little bit strange hearing a V6 in the background. Upon first impressions though, the powertrain seems really smooth. Paired with this 10-speed, we have much better gear ratios than we used to. We have some manual control here with the paddle shifters. We'll put us into Sport Plus for whatever it's worth. See how that reacts. Not what I'd call a sporting driving experience, but at least you get the option to have manual control over the gears. Definitely feel the suspension stiffen up in sport mode. Let's go into comfort and see how that affects ride quality. Really, I'm finding that this new LX600 still follows the same philosophy that the Land Cruiser and LX always have. We've just updated this with a nicer looking interior and exterior, all the modern switchgear taken from the rest of the Lexus lineup. We see kind of some bits and pieces taken from the LS 500 and some other newer models, but adapted to be a little bit more usable and functional in this LX. I appreciate that they haven't gone with some of the newer controls from the NX in this. The packaging in here isn't ideal. Honestly, it's a little bit tight for the size of this vehicle, but that's kind of how it's always been. There are some compromises that are to be made with a body-on-frame vehicle compared to a unibody construction. You compare this to some of the competition, and there just isn't as much interior space in this new LX as we've seen in some other vehicles. But again, if you want the most off-road capable, historically most reliable, luxury, ultra-luxury body-on-frame SUV, this is kind of the go-to option. Used values on these stay pretty strong, and with this new powertrain, it is a much nicer vehicle to drive. It's quicker, it's more efficient, and it does just feel like one of the most solid things on the road. Again, first impressions, haven't spent more time in this vehicle than what you've seen here on camera, but I like this new powertrain. It seems to be tuned pretty well. I've heard some mixed reports on this. This LX feels great. I like the usability of this interior, and I appreciate that Toyota resisted the urge to go full Tesla screen, full modern minimalist interior with this. This is still a very functional and usable space, even if maybe it's not kind of the most cohesive design with all the redundancy, but overall, I'm really liking this on first impressions. It feels like a very familiar and usable Lexus product. Okay guys, there's the new LX. Very cool to finally get behind the wheel of this. On first impressions, I'm digging it. I'm very excited to spend some more time behind the wheel of one of these and get to know it over the course of a week. But until then, that's all you guys get. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.